Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Before we get into today's episode, I kind of just want to do a little check in and some housekeeping just to keep things light and flowy. I don't want to get into too much of the heavy stuff right off the bat. Um, so let's do a little check in. I hope you guys are doing well. How are you guys feeling now that it's getting closer to the colder seasons? I myself am really excited. I love the concept of summer, but I'm definitely that person where when one heat wave happens, I'm like, no, I have enough. Please give me autumn, please give me winter. And I'm just an October baby. I thrive in the colder seasons, even though I am definitely someone who is perpetually cold. But I do love the colder seasons because it's so cozy. It's you bring out all of your sweaters, cozy sweaters, sitting by the fireplace, sipping some hot cocoa or some hot apple cider. It's a mood, it's a vibe. I love it. But I do know some people are like, I I want it to be like a never-ending summer, and I mean, I can't blame you. Summer is definitely during summertime. I get out of the house way more often because it's just so nice outside. But yeah, let's see what else. I feel like I'm in this really weird limbo space where I have one part of my heart where I wanting to take strides and I can feel like good things are coming, like changes are coming, and that I'm really trying to like head towards the direction of my goals. But there's another part of my heart where I'm like, I don't know if I'm just like like things are just like happening way too slow. Like I'm not say I don't have I'm not losing hope. I definitely have a lot more hope and faith than I've ever had growing up, but I'm feel like I just like I'm just in this weird transition stage where I'm not quite where I want to be, but I'm also out of where I used to be. So I'm like in this really awkward but quite exciting transition stage where I'm like I wanting to change up some of my content. I'm wanting to change up my life. I'm wanting to change up my whole identity because the old version of me is just not it doesn't resonate with me anymore, but I can't fully dive into this new identity either. So I'm like in this weird in between state, and I think it's really interesting. Anyways, that doesn't really make any sense. Um what else? Let's get into some housekeeping stuff now. I am continuously putting out new blogs, and I am also working my way up to put out more episodes for you guys. I don't even know if people really listen to my episodes. I definitely feel like I have a really hard time using my voice. I think in this lifetime, that is one thing that I am really just honing down and just learning to do is things surrounding my own voice. Growing up, I have always repressed my voice because I've learned from an early age that the more I repress my voice, my opinions, my self-expression, my identity, the I guess the safer I am. And obviously, as I grow up, I noticed that this isn't really benefiting me at all. But now it's really difficult for me to really voice myself, really put myself out there, really speak my truth. that's what I'm getting at. Like, it's really difficult for me to speak my truth because I have always shoved it down my throat in order to protect myself, in order to feel safe, in order to feel like I need to fit in with others. And that once I speak my truth, other people won't like me. And honestly, now that I think about it, it doesn't even matter if people like me or not. I think there's something so liberating about speaking your truth, about putting yourself out there. And if people hate on it, then they can hate on it. Like, your content, your truth, and your voice isn't meant for everyone. It's meant for certain people. It's meant for your tribe. It's meant for those people who really resonate with you. It's not supposed to be for everyone. I think that's beautiful, but it's also beautifully terrifying. So terrifying. But anyways, in today's episode, it sort of does correlate to speaking your truth and to using the voice. But in today's episode, I really want to address something that I have been seeing going around the internet. And it's not new, but it's something that it's kind of like stuck with me in the back of my head. And I really want to address it because I feel like I have my own truth that I want to insert. I have my 2 cents. And that is that when I scroll through YouTube in my feed, I always see these videos that has these titles that says, follow your plan, not your mood. And I've seen this recommended to me countless of times. And again and again and again, I always scroll past it with this quiet furrow on my brow. Not out of disdain, but more so out of disappointment. Because while I do understand where this creator is wanting to, where they're coming from and what their point is, right? I think there's something great about working hard and doubling down to create the dream life that you really want. However, I'm really disappointed because we are still taught in society that we should navigate life with a critical lens. We are constantly taught that in order to create the dream life, right, we must give in to hustle culture, overriding our feelings and silencing our inner world. Now, don't get me wrong, discipline and structure to keep us anchored and to see things through, it's something that we really need in order to create the life that we want, right? We need to do the work. But the thing is, we become so obsessed with logic, so obsessed with mind over matter, and believing that goals must be achieved through sheer mental willpower. Maybe on a day-to-day basis, we ask ourselves, what is the right thing to do, right? What's the right path for me? What's the right career for me? What's the right actions and habits? How should I show up in this world? What's the right thing for me to achieve my goals, right? And our mind immediately responds with an overworked compilation of solutions, mostly shaped by what others expect of us, society, family, and even ourselves, because we subconsciously take other people's beliefs and adopt them as our own. But we forget that we're human and we're allowed to evolve. We're allowed to pivot. And that doubling down and hustling and grinding may not be the right approach for us, especially if you are a soft baby, if you are a sensitive baby, if you are an empath, we need to go towards the softer route. And before I explain that, I will now talk about my villain arc. Yes, that is right. My villain arc began from a very, very young age. I watched my mother embody the hustle. She left work as early as 8 a.m. Actually, yeah, she left work quite early, to be honest. And I would just see her like rush through her morning, and her mind just elsewhere. I wouldn't even get a good morning. It was just a get up, here's your breakfast, bye. She would like leave with her lunch, which was like a bag of fruits like bananas and oranges, something quick to sustain her throughout the day. And I remember, just eating breakfast that was basically just cereal that I made myself, and then walking to school, going to school, and then walking back home from school. And I would be alone. Sometimes my brother would be there, but he's too cool for that. So he would be out hanging with his homies, and I would just be at home. And I feel like everybody did this, but like I wouldn't immediately start my homework after school. Why? Like I already burnt myself out just being in school, and I'm not about to burn myself out doing homework. Like, no. So I would literally just heat up an after school snack, which usually were like Hot Pockets or the Marie Callender's chicken pot pie. But it mostly was the Hot Pockets. Oh my god. I still remember like the countless times of me burning my hands and my tongue just biting into a microwaved Hot Pocket. Oh my god. The cheese, the grease. Oh, okay. I would like eat my Hot Pocket and turn on the TV and just watch cartoons until until I'm like, okay, I should probably start my homework because my parents would probably be home. Yeah. But I would just like, yeah, like I needed rest after school. Like that's a whole different topic, but school was, like, I don't know, like, I mean, there are some people who love school because of their friends, because of maybe they just love to learn, maybe because they love their teachers. But for me, I dreaded school. I did not like school one bit. Okay, I had bullies. I didn't have any friends. I was that person who ate their lunch alone. I was that person who, like, my teachers were disrespectful towards me, and I didn't really understand societal construct. Like, I really was quite a rebellious person, even though on the surface I was very sweet and seemed to be very, like, gullible, quite aloof. And in a sense, I think to a degree I was, but deep down I was quite rebellious, and I just did not understand social constructs. Like, I didn't understand why we had to, like, I think I was like, I wanted to challenge authority, not because I want to disrespect them, but because I felt like I want to exercise my free will. Because if we don't have free will, then who the hell are we? Like, we're human, we have free will, and I'm going to exercise that. If I can't exercise that at home and I can't exercise it at school, then why am I even here? Anyways, I basically this isn't about me, but it's about my mother. So my mother, she was this person who really, really doubled down in her career. Okay, she was like VP of R&D, and she worked up to that position from freaking selling cars and shit. Like she worked really hard. So I admire her hard work, her work ethic, and she never complained about anything. Right after work, she would come home at like 8 p.m. and then she wouldn't even really ask me about if I did my homework. She would just be like, "Don't bother me. I'm going to be in a meeting." And so she just continued to work throughout the night as late as 11 p.m. sometimes. And she would constantly go on business trips. Like, I feel like growing up, her being home was actually abnormal because she was gone so often. And yeah, that effed me up a lot as a kid, because when your parent is gone for that long, it really screws you up. But I'm honest, and I did admire her, and I still really admire her work ethic. I have not seen anyone work as hard as her. And that really shaped my own beliefs about success and money and dreams. And that's: work hard, don't complain, and keep going. So that's what I held on to growing up. When I was a sophomore in college, I took on my first job at my university dining hall. I always arrived early. I followed directions. I did what I was told without question. Well, I mean, in my mind, I was like, hell no. But obviously, I just, did whatever was asked of me. Never really challenged anyone verbally. And I thought if I just worked hard enough, I would be noticed. Notice me. Notice me, senpai. That was basically my vibe. I just wanted to be appreciated, and I feel like everyone deserves that. Like, I don't really need much. I just want to be told that I worked hard, that I did a good job, and that's all I wanted. I feel like that wasn't too hard to ask, but the thing is, every single job I've had, it just broke my sensitive, soft heart, because I would constantly be thrown into work environments where I would see my coworkers who slacked off on the job get the raises and the promotions, while me, as well as my friends, honestly, for me, I don't really care. You can treat me like shit, but do not treat my friends like shit. Like, my friends work really hard. I see them. I worked with them, and they get things done. But it really breaks my heart when those people do not get raises and get promotions. But those people who slacked off all the time and just handed their work to other people, they get the raises and promotions. And it really just clouded my judgment. I was really confused. I thought, because I'm like, I worked hard, shouldn't I get success? Because that's what it was ingrained within me from the very get-go, from day one. And so I told myself, okay, maybe I'm just dumb. Maybe I'm not a good worker as I thought I was. So I just need to double down and work harder, right? Yeah, that's definitely it. So I did. And I worked so many freaking jobs. I mean, I can make another podcast episode about this, but there were so many terrible, terrible jobs I had. But the most recent job I've had, like actual job, not just doing things for others, or like an actual job. The last job I've had was working at a cafe inside a grocery store. I feel like that is the key, inside a grocery store. I think that is the red flag itself. I am so sorry if you work at a cafe inside a grocery store, or if you know somebody who does this. I'm not trying to put you guys in a negative light. I'm just saying, like, I worked at a cafe inside a grocery store, and it was a pretty well-known grocery store. Okay, people really liked it, but I brought the same work ethic into that environment, and still I found myself running 8 to 10 hour shifts completely alone, handling morning, afternoon, and evening rushes, making coffees, smoothies, juices, and acai bowls, solo, no backup, no praise, no raise, just exhaustion. Yeah. And I thought to myself, again, was I just not good enough, not strong enough, not likable? Because to be honest, I think that's something that I notice in work environments is sometimes it's not really about how hard you work, but how likable you are. But I feel that people really liked me. But I think it was because I worked hard and they saw that as like a pawn. And I would bring this up to my parents as well, which was a big mistake, by the way, because they were just like, yeah, like, good. You're working yourself to the bone. You're getting sucked dry. You're treated like this. Good. Like this is what you deserve. And okay, so I have moved to a different location. Sorry for the blip, but I had to move to a different location because my mother came home and I don't know. I just feel like I can't really be creative when I'm around narcissists. I don't think I have to explain myself further. That's just how I feel. And so it's really difficult for me to, again, it's really hard for me to use my voice. Anyways, where was I? I think I was talking about how how those of us who are softer and more sensitive, it's really difficult for us to, and for those of us who have been taught to sort of like step into our masculine energy. I don't really like that word. I know a lot of tarot readers and people in the spiritual sphere say this word, but I really don't like it. But it's more like but masculine energy doesn't have to do with gender at all. It has to do with like more like hard action. And for those of us who are softer and more sensitive, I don't think that's the right approach for us. We need something soft and sensitive. We need a soft and sensitive approach, which is the feminine energy, the feminine approach. Again, doesn't matter if what gender you are or what you identify as. I think I'm going to do it as like I'm definitely going to try to find a better name for that, but for those of us who are soft and sensitive, it's just way too much. I was really in my mask, and I was really trying to take initiative and work hard, and it just, to be honest, it was quite traumatizing to the point where I think today I still don't want to work at any 9-to-5 job because I'm scared that I would get traumatized again. It's not, I feel like it's not a coincidence how every single job I've had, I have like 10 plus jobs, and every single job that I've had, I have always gotten some sort of ugly work drama, short end of the stick, getting crumbs situation. And I think it really is because I don't know how to receive. I don't know my own value. I can't speak my truth. And I also have this really, I don't want to say toxic because it's really different for everyone, but this view of belief of working hard that isn't the right approach for me because I am really soft and sensitive and I'm an empath and I can't be doing things like that. I just can't. It's too hard for me. So you know what I did? I just stopped working hard. I mean, obviously I still care about my job and I try to do my best in every single job that I've had. But what I mean by I stopped working hard was that I stopped wanting to be noticed. I didn't care if I was appreciated or not. I was just like, I'm doing this for me now. I'm doing this for the long term. I'm doing it for me. Yeah, I'm doing this for me. And not because like part of it is because, yeah, I need money. But part of it is because I also want to see how, like, what my potentials are. I think I'm someone who is like, I don't care what job I'm doing as long as I can fulfill my given potentials. I just want to see where it goes. I feel like I have so much potential, and I'm just at the tip of the iceberg, and I haven't even explored my full potentials. And so but it gotten so bad. I was so traumatized. I remember I had so many like anxiety attacks, panic attacks, and just like terrible nightmares because I was just surrounded by really horrible energy and people who thought it was okay to treat me like how they did. And so, yeah, for a long time, I almost gave up. To be honest, I almost really gave up. Like, back then, I really thought that there was something wrong with me. You know, my whole life, people have been telling me that there's something wrong with me. Not like coming to me and saying there's something wrong with you. They didn't say that exactly, but you know, like their body language, their actions, you know, they say like they care about me, but then they never text me back. They say they care about me and they want to hang out with me, but they never invite me to anything. They never do. They never respond back to my texts or my stories or anything like that. And so I just had this, like, it got to the point where it's like, if somebody is actually really nice to me or really interested in me, my first thought is, why? What do you want? What do you want from me? What do you want? You know, my first thought is that they're out to get me, to hurt me, to use me. Anyways, I'm getting a little bit off track now, but I knew that, like, one thing about me is that I never give up. I never give up. I still stand up on my own 2 feet, and I still move, and I still trying to find a way to get towards my goals and my dreams. So I felt something deeper stir within me. It could honestly, it could be anger. It could be anger. It could be frustration. It could be hatred. It could be really, really, yeah. But it doesn't matter, you know. Something stirred within me, anger. But the thing was, I knew that there's something more that I could offer, and that, you know, like, my gut was telling me that there was something more for me out there. So basically I said, okay, F everything that I believe in, because everything I believe in has done more harm. So time to find something new to believe in. Time to listen to something else. Time to listen to my niggle. And before I get to what the niggle is, I just want to say that if you're so far enjoying the podcast, first of all, thank you so much. I'm definitely not a podcaster. I'm just a human being who just wants to use their voice to help others. But if you are enjoying this podcast, I appreciate you. And if you want more comfort, more cozy reflections, and more tips on how to nurture yourself, then please consider joining my newsletter. You can find that on my website, which I will put a link in the show notes. And once you join my newsletter, you can get inspirations, gentle inspiration, and more insight on soft healing magic delivered right to your inbox. Okay, now let's continue on with the podcast. Before I get into what the Niggle is, let's first discuss the pitfalls of strictly sticking to your plans. Now, I know it's satisfying to check off a to-do list, isn't it? Every tick of a task comes with a little mental ding, followed by a rush of serotonin, knowing you completed something. It's almost addictive. And like any addiction, whether it's drinking, doom scrolling, or even patterns of self-sabotage, it can quietly convince your mind that you need it to function, that you depend on it. And in order to feel normal and accomplished. These days, keeping track of daily tasks is easier than ever. We have endless productivity apps and platforms promising to organize our lives and banish chaos. Gone are the days of scribbles on wrinkled napkins or sticky notes clinging to the back of notebooks or to our shirts. Though, as a creative, I still swear by a good brain dump on paper. Efficiency is wonderful. But here is the trap. Many of these tools market themselves on the idea that success means pushing through burnout and lost inspiration. That if we fall off our schedule, we're lazy, we're unmotivated, we're a failure. And that narrative can be just as draining as the work itself. And of course, why we can't follow our mood. Are you moody AF or just need redirection? Our moods can shift faster than the weather. One moment, we're energized, ready to conquer the world. The next moment, we're sprawled across the bed, feeling like our inner flame just fizzled out. We glance at our unfinished task, and for those of us who deeply tie productivity to our self-worth and our value, it's really easy to tumble into a spiral of negative thinking. So that is why the first step is to untangle our value as a human being from how much we check off a to-do list. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong wanting to feel accomplished. I mean, I think everybody wants to feel accomplished, right? Everybody wants to look back on their day and think, yes, I finished this and I finished that. I tackled my hardest job, my hardest task, and it's great. I mean, I think deep down for me, I definitely want that feeling as well. But thing is, when we tie our sense of self-worth, when it's chained to achievement, that is when disaster strikes. So here's the thing. We all know this. Moods are fleeting. They can spark bursts of motivation. Sure, a good mood makes the work feel lighter, but they're not a reliable foundation for long-term success. Real, sustainable success isn't just about money, accolades, or reputation. It's about learning to maintain it without letting it consume you, aka be humble. So writing the ways our emotions can sometimes make us feel really wishy-washy or overly dramatic, right? One moment we're just so excited about a project, and the next moment we're like, maybe I can, go to the kitchen, take a little look at what's in the fridge for the 5th time. Yeah, but actually there's nothing wrong with our moods, to be honest. I really want to actually make that point too, because our moods and our emotions actually holds a lot of valuable insight into our inner landscape, what works for our unique way of thinking and functioning, and even on a deeper level, our human design, which is a topic for a future episode. In other words, what can we learn from our moods? Because yes, it could be wishy-washy, but it can really we're simple. We're humans. I mean, yeah, we have we're complex creatures, but we're also quite simple. And a lot of times our moods and our distractions and how we function can really tell us who we are as a person. So, sometimes it's not about being a drama queen or flaking out. It's about being human, and that we're allowed to change. We're allowed to pivot. Forcing ourselves to keep grinding on the same thing in the same way just because it's the plan can speed up burnout and actually send us spiraling way faster than we think. Instead, I like to call in redirection. Yes, redirection. That gentle nudge to look at the map and say, hey, maybe this isn't the road for me anymore. It's not failure, it's navigation. And oftentimes that redirection starts with what I call the niggle. It's that tiny tug in your chest or quiet whisper in your mind that says, something's off. Maybe it's time to shift. Yep. In this next section, I want to talk more about what actually the niggle is. Okay, I like to title it, In Niggle, We Trust. Because basically, it's our intuition in action. Okay, it's not the flashy kind of desire that's clouded with what we want or think we want, but the deeper call towards what we truly need. What will help us expand, grow, and become who we're meant to be. What will help us expand and grow and go through the lessons in order to get what we want. Because sometimes what we want is like on a whole different frequency. And in order to get onto that frequency, we need to go through the hoops. We need to go through the obstacles. We need to go through the lessons, right? And so our niggle, which is our intuition, will guide us towards that direction, and it doesn't care about what we want. Okay? It doesn't care about that. It doesn't care about what we want, and doesn't care about your mood, your whatever. It just is basically like saying, okay, yeah, here it is. Are you gonna listen or not? Because if you don't listen, I'm gonna keep on pulling towards that direction until you actually give in, right? It doesn't care about anything about that. And thing is, it really defies logic, right? We like to always use logic to think of a plan. Anyways, I hope that makes sense. Basically what I'm trying to say is that our brains are wired to seek explanations and to make sense of everything. But when it comes to your intuition, sometimes there simply isn't a clear reason. It just feels right. And that's reason itself. That's all the proof you need. So even though many of us may or may not hear the whisper, even if we do hear the whisper, right, it's also really easy to ignore it. We get so wrapped up in our heads and overthinking and having self-doubt that listening to that niggle, to our intuition, can feel like standing on the edge of a cliff, blindfolded, hoping something will eventually catch us. It forces us to trust ourselves and embrace the unknown, which is why following your intuition is scary as hell. But trust me, you won't regret it. And the thing about following your intuition is that sometimes, even when we follow our intuition, it can feel like everything is falling apart, right? Maybe we lose a job, get kicked out of our house, or face a painful breakup, and it feels like failure or loss. And then we self-doubt ourselves and we ask ourselves, did I actually make the right decision, or was I just like what's going on, you know? But oftentimes those moments are blessings in disguise, right? It's life's way of tossing out what no longer serves us and clearing the space to make room for something better, right? Maybe you really wanted a job. You wanted this position at this company and you didn't get it. And you just keep on getting rejected and rejected and rejected, and you're frustrated. But the thing is, the thing is that it's the niggle, right? The niggle knows that this is not what you need and there's something else better for you, or you need to learn these lessons first before you can actually get this job. So the niggle really knows, and it really is like, even if you can't see it, because again, our brains are trying to make sense of it. Again, if it feels right, then just trust it, trust yourself to handle whatever comes up. And the thing is, you can think of it this way. There's really no point in having a beautiful house if a strong wind can just knock it down instantly. The hard, uncomfortable moments in life teach us how to fortify ourselves so we can stand tall through any storm. And if your dream is to climb the ladder in your career or any part of your life, that journey isn't just about reaching the top. It's also about learning the tough lessons so you not only get there, but hold onto that success with resilience and grace. So if you're feeling unsteady, remember, you're not breaking, you're building. Learning to listen to that niggle, to trust it, even when the path isn't clear, is one of the kindest gifts we can give ourselves. It's the start of moving toward a life that not just is planned or dictated by fleeting moods, but is deeply aligned with who you really are. Okay, I am now going to gently wrap up this episode, mainly because I am sweating. I have moved to a different location and it is hot. All right, so learning to listen to your niggle, or your soul's quiet whisper, is a journey of trust, patience, and kindness with yourself. It's about honoring that gentle tug, even when it feels uncertain or scary, knowing it's guiding you towards growth, healing, and something more aligned with who you truly are. So to all of my gentle and soft souls, soft and sensitive souls, you are not meant to view life in such a hard lens, right? Loosen your grip, follow your intuition. Go and join the softer side of things, all right? Sometimes we feel like when we need to reach our goals, we really need to take big strides, right? Even in cinema, the protagonist is really portrayed as like they go through this really shitty lessons, and it's just they work really hard to get towards where they are, and sometimes it doesn't even need to be that dramatic. It doesn't need to be blood, sweat, tears. Sometimes it just needs to be like, oh, there's a completely different route that has flowers, and I don't need to why am I going through this route with a bunch of thorns and to prove myself when I can just go through this route with flowers and still reach my goals? Sometimes it's just all about redirection and rerouting and just again, following your intuition, because your intuition cannot leave you astray. Because it knows what you need, right? You think you know what you need, you think you know what you want, but do you really? Do you really? So remember that your moods and your plan will always come and go, but your Niggle is the steady compass helping you navigate through life's twists and turns. And to all of my gentle and soft, sensitive souls, remember that you can choose to be soft. In a world that really asks of you to be harsh, you can really lean into your soft side, okay? Lean into your soft and sensitive and gentle side. All right. I really hope this encourages you to lean into your own inner wisdom and embrace the redirections that come your way. If you enjoyed this episode, you might find comfort and inspiration in my previous episodes. And again, don't forget that you can sign up for my newsletter if you want to get more tips on cultivating a softer, gentler life. And just for more healing, soft healing magic. Or find more inspiration on my YouTube channel and my blogs. All right, thank you so much for sharing this gentle space with me today. I am so glad you're here. I'm so appreciative of every single one of you who has listened to my podcast and who have listened to it to like all the way to the end. You guys are really the real ones, for sure. You guys are probably my soft, sensitive, gentle souls out there who just needs a little hug. It's especially in this really harsh world. So yeah, again, thank you so much for being here. And don't forget that your soft, sensitive side is a superpower. All right, I'll see you the next episode. Bye.